Myself, I am Vellai Pandi from STQC IT Services Chennai. I am scientist F in STQC IT Services Chennai. I have been working for STQC for the past 28 years, out of which around 11 years into hardware quality assurance testing and calibration, and approximately 17 years into software quality assurance testing and ISMS audit. So during my 17 years of this software quality assurance, I have taken up so many software testing projects like e-governance, many states e-governance projects, and Government of India e-governance mission mode projects, and some of the defense applications and railway applications for functional performance and security testing. And I have been doing this ISMS audit also for various public sector organization as well as for private sector organization. Apart from ISMS audit, I am also US CERT certified insider threat vulnerability assessor. So this is my brief introduction. I think this session we are going to discuss about the introduction to ISMS as well as ISO 27000 family standards. How this 27000 family standards are going to help you to establish, implement, and maintain the information security management system. When I talk about ISMS, ISMS is nothing but information security management system. It is very interesting because can you think about managing the security affairs? Is it possible? Because why it is interesting? Because you have in security, information security, you have so many technologies, so many platforms, so many applications, so many domain, so many skills, and it is always skilled people are involved. So it is managing them. It is not that easy. But however, the standard beautifully has brought out almost what all you can think of, which can be controlled, which can be made to system foolproof. This standard gives you the requirements. When we talk about information security, first of all, when we talk about information security, we should know what is security. What could be security? Security is nothing but protecting something, or protection of some assets, or protection of some elements. So here information security, why this information security? Security, we are aware of physical security, we are aware of controls to access controls to some restricted area. These are all there. We call it as physical because it is manned by physical person, or it is controlled by some access control elements. But here information security, apart from physical security also is mandatory part of information security management system to take care of or to secure the assets. Apart from there are so many other controls you have to put in place to safeguard your information. Why information? Why information? Because information has got some value. Information has got some value. So information is nowadays known as an asset. Asset means we used to think about some gold, some physical asset, some land, or some property or something like that. Here, the asset means it is information, anything which has got value. But there are a lot of information which has got very high value. That is why information is known as an asset. Like it can be banking, it can be banking information, it can be financial information, it can be intellectual property information, it can be design information, it can be your own personal information, it can be organizational information, it can be physical assets information also, but in different forms. Different form means it may be software, it may be software holding elements like servers, like systems, like laptops, like any other system, or even networks. So here information security is, we are talking about protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information. It is a triad known as confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three things we want to ensure by implementing this ISMS, information security management system. So we know security, what is security, and what is information security, what is management system. Why management system? Because unless otherwise you have a disciplined or systematic way of managing the affairs it is you will always have some loopholes by which the hackers or the cyber criminals can penetrate into your system and make your system chaotic and non-operational. Your purpose is to ensure the integrity, availability, and confidentiality of the information. So if you want to ensure it, it should be a hacker proof. It should be a foolproof mechanism that you are making your system available always whenever you want, and you are supposed to make your system is confidential for the users, and you should make your system is authenticated or authorized, and the integrity is maintained. Whatever information is available, for that information integrity is available. I mean, integrity is ensured. Okay, this is what is management system. We all may be aware of ISO 9000 management system. It is about quality. We call it as a QMS, quality management system. It is the similar manner how quality was managed in manufacturing units, in processing units, in service units. The same way, information security managements are carried out in the organization. So when we say about organization, this particular standard is for organization which is depending its business, its operation fully on IT. They can go for implementing, establishing, and continue with this particular standard requirements. And the organization only is certified for this particular standard, 27,000 standard. Okay, this is what is the introduction about ISMS. Now let us go to the standard. So when you talk about standard ISO 27001, it has got a long way, travel. Initially in 1995, it was known as British Standard. BS is British Standard 7799-1. It was the starting point of information security management system. So it was originally started by British Union, and the British Standard Association published the standard 7799 in 1995, and the same standard got into adopted by ISO by known as 17799. Only one they have added in front of 7799. In 2000, ISO IEC adapted the standard as such given by BS. And now this part 1 or dash 1, it is mainly concentrating on the requirements part of the standard. Now it gives what are all the requirements you need to fulfill if you want to go for a ISMS 27001 certification. So 27001 basically a standard which gives you the requirements, If you go through the requirements, if you understand the requirements, then comes how to implement the requirement. So the implementation part comes in 7799-2. Now it is known as 27001-2. Okay, so 7799 as well as 27001 gives you the requirement. 7799-2 and 2 gives you the implementation guidelines. Okay, understood? So the same 7799 in 2005 became ISO IEC 17799. In the same year, it became 27001. From 2005 onwards, the standard is known as 27001. And in 2007, it has brought out 27002. The organization has brought out 27002, adopting all the implementation guidelines from BS 7799-2. And in 2013, recently, this both are renamed as ISO 27001 and ISO 27002, because this 27001 2005 version was having some controls, extra controls, which in 2013 was felt it is irrelevant or it is already addressed in some other controls. So hence in 2013 with 114 controls with 14 domains, it has been published and it is available now. People are going for organization certification based on 27001 2013 version. Yeah. Now, when you talk about ISMS family standard, that is 27,000 family standard. So we were talking about 27,001. What about 20,000? 27,000 basically a standard which gives you terms and definitions and vocabulary of the terms used in the 27,000 family standards. So you have family standard means 27,000 has got so many standard under it. It is 27,001, 27,002, 27,003. It is 27,013 like that. There are so many standards under the umbrella of 27,000. So 27,000 is basically a vocabulary standard. Which defines or it gives a meaning for all the terms and all the terms involved in all the terms defined in the other part of the standards. So that is why 27,000. It is you can take help of, suppose you are not able to understand some of the word, you can refer to 27,000 or some of the terminology. You can just refer to 27,000 and you get the actual meaning of that particular terminology. So as I was telling, 27,000 is a vocabulary standard, and you have 27,001. It is a requirement standard, and now you know that you have a requirement. But how to implement the requirement in your organization? That is, you can take it from 27,002, 27,003, 27,004, 27,005, and 27,007. So from all these standards, you can take implementation guidelines, risk assessment guidelines. You can how to manage the security. All this relevant information you can take it from the guideline standards. The guideline standards are 27,002, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Okay. Likewise, you have sector specific standards in same 27,000 family itself. It is if you want to go for telecommunication organizations, telco companies ISMS certification, you need to refer to 27,010. So that apart from 27,001 and remaining standards, you need to refer to some of the additional controls, additional requirements. If you are a telco company, you need to refer to 27,010 and take the requirements and controls. And if you want to go to yeah, that is 27,011. 27,010 is inter-organizational. Yeah, 27,000. Sorry, 27,010 is inter-organizational requirement. 27,011 is it is telco companies requirements. Inter-organizational. Suppose you have an organization which has already some management system in place, like they have ISO 9000 system, or they have some environmental management system, or they have some food supply management system, food safety management system. If they are already into some certifications, you to implement 27,001, you can refer to 27,010, so that you can, whatever legacy process you have already established, you can map those legacy processes to 27,001 requirement. So this is a guidance which is given in 27,010. And 27,011, as I told earlier, it is for telecommunication organizations. They want to go for 27,001, they need to refer to 27,011 also, in addition to 27,001. So in addition, there are so many standards. We are a certification organization, so we need to be abide by the 27,006. So it is giving guidelines what a certification organization is supposed to follow, like that. So it is a family standard which has got so many standards in it under the umbrella of 27,000. That is why it is called 27,000 family. And management system, as I was telling, management system is a disciplined or systematic approach to manage some affairs. Maybe quality may be affair, security may be affair, or some protection may be affair. So these affairs are managed through a management system. It is nothing but what is management system? If you ask very briefly, management system is a process which is to be mandatorily followed by every stakeholders or every users in the organization. The users in the organization cannot violate or bypass whatever processes are defined So to do their business or to do their operation, to do their service, if they are certified under particular standard, whatever definitions, whatever activities, roles and responsibilities are defined, whatever activities are defined, only that they are supposed to do it in the organization. That is, if that is followed, then violations can be easily seen, and if it is violated, and system can be improved. On seeing the violations, why violation has happened, it is because of competency problem, or it is because of willful act, or it is because of unintentional act. That can be analyzed, and accordingly system can be improved. So the management system means it's a systematic management of affairs, maybe security affairs, or maybe it is your quality affairs. So you have very well known standard ISO 9001, it is quality management system, and you have 14001, it is environment management system. ISO 27001, it is IT service management system. IT service management system mainly for BPO organization, business process outsourcing organization, and ISO 22000. And you have 22301, ISO 22000, it's food supply management system, food safety management system. This is, I think, 22301, it's about privacy or something like that. And then 27001 is ultimately your information security management system. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about the overall architecture, overall framework of this particular standard, the standard starts with introduction, scope, normative references. These three is very common, and terms and definitions. It will be there in all other standard also. So introduction will be talking about introduction of this document. Scope will be talking about what is the scope of this particular standard. Normative references where from this document has evolved, about those details will be the terms and definitions. It will be asking you to refer to either vocabulary standard, or it itself may have some terms and definitions which is not covered in 27000. And coming to security point of view, ISMS point of view, it is context to the organization. It starts with context to the organization. The context of the organization, how the organization is getting influenced externally and internally. So what are all the issues pertaining to internal? What are the issues pertaining to external? Needs to be identified. It is issues in the sense how it is affecting, how it is going to influence your business operations, your service operations, or your production operations. So these are all the issues, first thing to be identified. Maybe it may be internal issues, it can be external issues. Those issues needs to be identified. Then after identifying the needs, who are all interested in your service, who are all interested in your business, who are all interested in your operations. So you have to identify the interested parties as well as their needs and expectations. What do they expect? Maybe stakeholders. What is their expectation? One is issue, another is expected expectations and needs of interested parties. If you do with these two items, that is understanding the organization and its context, by identifying internal and external issues, and by identifying needs and the expectations of interested parties, you can think about defining the scope of the information system, information security management scope. So you need to define a scope by considering 4.1 and 4.2. So once a scope is defined, it will have a boundary also. This particular scope is applicable to where, whether it is your data center or for all your operations, or it is for your DR site also it is covering. So location as well as the assets covered will be given in the scope. And then you are establishing a management system, information security management system. And here you will be just finding out what are all the important activities I need to carry out, and what are all the documents I need to generate, what are all the definitions I have to make, what are all the process I have to establish, how I am going to implement those processes, how I am going to measure those processes, who all will be responsible for the implementation as well as measures as well as operations. About that you have to decide. a security management system comes. So in general, you will have a security ISMS manual, information security manual, and associated policies. You will have policies, maybe top level policy as well as secondary level policy. Along with policies, you will have procedures to execute maybe operations, maybe network, maybe HR policy, maybe financial policy, maybe. So where all you are scoping it, what all you are covering in the scope of ISMS, all those domain you need to consider, and for that you need to make a procedures apart from policies. Then okay, you are planning to do all, but what about management support? If unless otherwise you have a management support, it is impossible to implement, establish any system. So management leadership support should be there. So leadership commitment should be there. Generally, the policy top level policy is assigned to be signed by the top level man, maybe CEO of the organization. Once he signs the information security policy, he takes responsibility to implement the information security practices in your organization, and he gives you the appropriate manpower. He is giving a commitment to give you the manpower. He is giving you the commitment to give appropriate roles and responsibility, competency, system required, everything he is assuring while signing the policy. And that is why in general it is advised to have a top level policy to be signed by the top level, I mean CEO. Okay. Then when you are planning, a very important part of it, okay, you have identified the issues, you have identified the expectations, you have defined the scope, and you are just approximately knowing what is going to be your ISMS structure or a framework. Then you are getting the consent of the top management. So now you are planning to implement it. How are you going to planning to implement it? Risk assessment. Risk assessment is the very key point in implementing and maintaining the ISMS certification. Okay, ISMS certification, it all rolls around risk management, risk analysis, and its management. So risk and opportunities. Now, when we talk about risk, what is risk? Risk is something, risk is something which we need to avoid. Why we need to avoid? Because if you allow the risks to continue in your organization, your business cannot run. So you need to identify the risk. Risk here, we are talking about information assets. When you have assets by default, it has got inherent vulnerabilities. So if you allow the vulnerabilities to exist without addressing, then you are having a risk of getting exploited. So exploiting the vulnerabilities available in the system is known as risk. Now, okay, it can be exploited. Now, if it is exploited, what is going to be the impact on the exploitation? Once it is it going to hamper your business operation? Is it going to paralyze your business operation? Or even if it is exploited, it is not going to affect me much on financially or business wise. So, you have the assets, information assets with you, or you can call it as information processing facilities, information transmission facilities, information receiving facilities, and information storing facilities. So these are all the facilities you have. These are all the assets you have. These assets on its own has got vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities, if exploited, it is going to create problems. If it is going to problem, that has to be managed. Then you need to do the risk assessment. It is very important. You have a vulnerability and you have a threats available to exploit the vulnerability. And if that is allowed, you are going to have a business problem, running your organization problem. Then that needs to be addressed. That means you have to do the risk analysis. So based on the asset value, you are making for each and every assets, important assets, whatever assets are there, for each and every asset, you are giving a asset value, and you are giving a vulnerability value also. What is a vulnerability available? And you are giving a what are all the threats available from outside as well as from inside. So you are giving a threat value, you are giving a vulnerability value, and you are giving asset value. So these three put together, you are calculating a value called risk value. Okay, you have asset, you have vulnerability, you have threat. So these three together, you are forming calculation that is called risk values. Now this risk value, once you calculate it for each and every threats and vulnerabilities, whether you can afford it by having such a risk, that is called risk acceptance criteria. When you talk about risk acceptance criteria, yes, your organization decides that with this much level of risk, I can continue with my business without any problem, without hampering my problem. So anything going beyond that risk acceptance criteria, I need to treat it. That is called a risk treatment plan. So when you have made your organization's risk acceptance criteria is around 10 or 15 or whatever may be the value, any assets which is having more than 10 or 15 or 16 as acceptance criteria level value, though those risk values needs to be treated, that is known as risk treatment, and there shall be a regular plan, annual plan or it's 6 monthly plan, or whenever there is a changes, major changes happening to your assets, so that time also you need to do the risk treatment by having a formal risk treatment plan. Okay, from risk treatment, once you once you identify the risk and you do the risk assessment, you are coming out with the information security objective. Actually, information security objective, it comes in the policy itself. When you have a policy, you know what is your information security policy, and this policy, how I am going to ensure, by making objectives. By making objectives, these objectives in general are measurable. Objectives are in general are measurable. So this is coming after calculating risk assessment and risk treatment plan. Apart from that, you have a support processes. Support processes, as we were talking in the leadership commitment, you need to have a resources, you need to develop competency, and you have to define competency for establishing and implementing and operating the information security management system. And it is your part to make awareness of the established information security management system, all the stakeholders, and you have to communicate to all the stakeholders. And at the end, how will you do all these resources, how will you do all these activities? You have to have a documented information. Documented information, I was telling about, you should have a information security manual, you should have the policy, information security policy, you should have an information security objective, then you should have a after information security objective, you have to know about asset details and each asset's risk value, and whether this risk needs to be treated or not treated based on the risk acceptance criteria. For all those things, and the procedure to be followed during the operations, all those things are called documented information. So you need to generate so many documents if you want to go for certification and if you want to maintain the certification scheme. And during the operations, after during the planning itself, you are doing risk assessment, and during the operations risk assessment, again you are doing the reassessment, whether whatever controls I have identified to mitigate my or to treat my risk, whether they are appropriate, or shall I have to go for some additional controls to be put in place. So it is a continuous operation. So during the operations, you have to annually or biannually do the risk assessment for the already established assets and risk values, and you need to find the risk assessment and the risk treatment is not adequate, then you need to go for putting additional controls during the operations. Then it is not only during the operations, it is not only you are doing risk assessment, and whatever controls you are put in place, you are measuring the effectiveness of the control as per class number 9 of the your standard. So performance evaluation, you defined, you have scoped it, you have made policy, you have made objectives, you have done risk assessment as well as risk treatment, and you have made documents put into operations. Now that effectiveness needs to be measured. The effectiveness is measured in monitoring and analysis of evaluation, and you are bound to do internal audit in a planned interval, and you are bound to have a management review in a planned interval. Internal audit and management review, very important part of your ISMS implementation. Internal audit needs to be done in a regular interval, so that whatever controls you have put in place to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, availability of your information processing facilities, or information storing facilities, or information transmission facilities, whether those controls, identified controls, are effective, or is it sufficient, or you need to add more control. And not only that, and you have already systematic processes, whether those systematic processes are followed across the organization, that needs to be verified through internal audit. If at all any gap area comes, if at all any violations found, that is discussed in the management review meeting. In addition, any new technology comes, any scope for improvement, or if you want to increase the capacity, or you want to venture into some other domain, so about that also you can discuss in the management review. And corresponding risk assessment for increasing the scope, or increasing the facilities, or increasing the capacity, the corresponding risk associated with each and every activities needs to be assessed continuously when you are planning for improving the ISMS system. So continuous ISMS improvement is when you are doing internal audit, you are coming across with some NCs, and when you are those issues needs to be addressed. Once you address those issues, then you are assuring that yes, you are continually improving the system. Okay, so this is what is the overall framework of ISO 27001. Now this is the nomenclature, or this is the style, or this is the mandatory classes in every ISO standard, not only 27001 standard. Every ISO standard, if you see it, this is what is the general scope, or general management system classes. Now, when we are talking about management system, it is again the old PDCA model only, the ISMS also follows. We are just planning it, and we are just doing it by implementing it, establishing ISMS and implementing the ISMS, and we are doing the checking, monitoring, review, even internal quality audit, even your management review. Then any non-conformity is found, we are just improving it by implementing the non-conformities observed during the internal audit, or during the normal operation also. So your system comes from interested parties' expectations and their needs, and your context of the organization, when you are what are all the internal issues and the external issues, what are all the interested parties needs and expectations. Once that is understood, you are scoping the ISMS, and you are establishing the ISMS, and you are implementing the ISMS, then you are checking it, and any NCs found, any non-conformance found, you are just trying to address those non-conformance. So this is how it's a cycle. PDCA cycle, which is very popular for quality management system, is applicable here also. The similar manner, when you talk about ISMS, this particular standard, during the plan, you can take the help of the class number 4, context of the organization, class number 5, context of the organization, leadership, class number 6, planning, class number 7, support. So what are all the requirements you have to fulfill during the planning itself? So these 4 requirements you have to fulfill yourself when you are planning to go for ISMS certification. Then during the operations, what all activities you need to carry out and what are all the requirements is addressed in class number 8. That is reassessment of your risk in general, reassessment of risk, and continuous, continuously monitoring. Is there any problem? Maybe somebody trying to penetrate into your operations without your permission. So during the operations, they call it a security operations center. They continuously monitor it. Apart from doing risk analysis, continuously the implemented controls monitored by the security operations center, SOC, they call it a SOC center. And any violations found, why the violation has come, they do the impact analysis. Why the violation has come? It is because of system problem, or it is because of some external person trying to penetrate by making use of the vulnerability existing in the system. So the analysis is done, and planning for fixing the problems, continuously improve the system, So the point here is, when you plan it, you can make use of 4, 5, 6. That is the context of the organization, leadership, planning, and support. Requirement you can just go through, and during the operations, do it. During the operations, you need to go through requirements mentioned in class number 8 of the standard. And check phase, you have to look at performance evaluation, requirements, and improvement phase, you have to, that is act phase, you have to look at class number 10, improve what are all the requirements. If you go through all these requirements, you are done with implementation of ISMS system. Then context of the organization, we have already discussed. Context of the organization, you have to mention about the internal and the external issues which is going to hamper your system. What are all the issues which can influence your system operation, your system maintenance, and your system establishment? So you have to identify those issues, internal and externals. The organization shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affects the ability to achieve the intended outcome. Intended outcome is, you want to ensure your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Is there any hindrance to ensure these 3 triads? If yes, it is available, then you have to list as a issue, whether it is an internal issue or external issue. Then understanding the needs and the expectations of the interested parties, we have already discussed. Then you are scoping the information security management system. Information security management system comes from understanding the internal issues and external issues, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties, your stakeholders. From these 2 points, you are getting the scope of information scope. And then you are trying to establish the system. So establish the ISMS, define the scope of ISMS, define ISMS policy, very, very important. After defining the scope of the ISMS, you need to define the ISMS policy. And in general, I was telling earlier itself, in general, the top level ISMS policy is, consented and signed by the topmost person of the organization, your CEO of the organization, so that he is assuring you the, resources required, he is assuring the assets required, he is assuring the cost involved in implementing, maintaining, as well as continually improving the system. Yeah, ISMS policy is done. Then ISMS, you are carrying out a risk assessment, and after carrying out the risk assessment, you are where all the places you need to manage the risk. So I was telling about the risk acceptance criteria. So you have evaluated the risk for all the assets. Assets, nothing but assets has got vulnerability, and it possesses threats. Once this threat is exploiting the vulnerability, you have a risk. So this risk, whether it is within the accepted criteria or not, you are defining. If it is within the criteria, there is no need to treat. If it is above the criteria, you have to manage it. Manage it, nothing but you have to treat the risk. Okay. So how will you treat it? Select appropriate controls from 27. That is what is the point. You are calculating risk. You are defining acceptance criteria, risk acceptance criteria, and wherever risk which is going beyond risk acceptance criteria, you need to treat it. How will you treat it? You treat using the appropriate, selecting the appropriate controls from the 27,001. So 27,001 gives you the requirement, as well as the annexure of 27,001 gives you the controls. What are all the controls applicable to mitigate the risk? Okay, that is the beauty of the standard. So this 27,001 has got 14 domains. I was telling about domain. This domain is nothing but what are all the area, what are all the 14 area you have to cover when you want to establish and implement and to continue with ISMS system. Okay, then you prepare a statement of very, very important part of ISMS document. Statement of applicability is very, very important. Out of your risk assessment, you are coming out with what are all the controls for each and every risk you have identified. If you want to mitigate those risks, what are all the controls you have to put in place, you are identifying, and you are at the end you are bringing with a statement of applicability. What are all the controls applicable for you, security controls applicable for you to run your business by ensuring the confidentiality, availability, and integrity. That is statement of applicability. Control. What are the controls applicable for you in your organization to ensure the CAA? Though this we have already discussed, scope should be prepared describing in terms of organization, location, assets. I was telling about this all. And scope will demonstrate to the management their security responsibility, encourage them to pay appropriate attention to the. So scope should be very attractive. It should have a luring power to the management. Management should be impressed with the scope. So okay, what scope these people have defined, whether this scope definition itself is appropriate, whether it is having some meaning, it is having some relevant to the business operations. About that, your management should be convinced. Then only they will give appropriate support. Defining the scope, this I have already discussed. Defining the scope, you have understanding the organization, its context, understanding the needs and the expectations. Then you are determining the scope. You are bringing a ISMS management system. Scope, like scope you can define. I want to ensure, I want to protect the personal information about all the staff, all other information related to the business process. I want to protect, or I want to protect the CAA of all information processing facilities, including computers, printers, LAN and internet connections. I want to protect CAA of all software used to process information. So this could be this example of scope. So you can define a scope. Basically to protect the CAA of personnel, CAA of systems, CAA of network, CAA of software, and CAA of media. CAA is nothing but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You want to protect those of all this area. And you are coming for information security policy. Policy is a written down document, shall be available to, the point is it should be available to all the stakeholders or all the employees or all your business partners. To everybody it should be made available, it should be communicated. It should contain the statement of intent by the senior management. It should contain the what is the policy of your topmost person, that is your CEO. As far as ISMS is concerned, what is a security policy? So that is why in general practice, it is advised that CEO signs the policy document. Okay, there is a top level policy. It is called security policy statement. It is signed by the CEO and distributed to all the staff, not only staff, even to the relevant stakeholders also. And second level, lower level policies also there. That is, I was mentioning about 14 domains, and each domain, not each domain, some of the domains requires policy like access control policy. Like if you mention about HR, what is your HR policy? And when you talk about network policy, operation security, if you are talking about what is the operation security requirements and what is the policy about that, each and every level, each and every domain has got a secondary or lower level policies. Those policies also to be established, but the top level policy is the one which is guiding principle for establishing, maintaining, and continuing with your ISMS operation. In support, you can make use of lower level policies. Then leadership, I have already discussed much about leadership also. So you have leadership commitment, policy is there, and very, very important, organization roles and responsibility needs to be very clearly defined. Who will do what? Then only you can meet the objective of the ISMS policy. ISMS policy has got objective, and policy has to be measured, and it has to be seen whether it is within the specified limit of your expectations, and so you need somebody to measure it. Effectiveness of the ISMS needs to be measured by somebody. Okay. So there is a change. Okay, previously earlier it was known as management responsibility. Now it has become leadership, to give leadership commitment, to give more attraction to the top management, ensuring that ISMS policy and ISMS objectives are established and are compatible with the strategic direction of the organization, directing supporting persons to contribute to the effectiveness of the ISMS management system. This we have already discussed. So policy is the driving principle. Based on the policy only, all other things are getting shaped. So during the planning, we were discussing about risk assessment. First is identification of assets. Second is identification of vulnerabilities associated with the assets. And apart from identifying vulnerabilities, what are the threats available for exploiting these vulnerabilities needs to be known, and then you are calculating a risk. Okay, you are calculating the risk for each assets based on the vulnerabilities. Then after calculating the risk, you are coming out with risk acceptance criteria. Any assets which is having more than the risk acceptance criteria value is not accepted, so that needs to be treated or that needs to be mitigated. You are selecting an appropriate control for mitigating it. Okay, that is what is planning. Risk assessment, we have already discussed. Perform risk assessment to identify the high risk security areas, high security risk area, depending on the degree of assurance. Management by reducing, avoiding, transfer. Yeah. So why we are doing why we are doing all this risk value? Either you need to control it, or you need to avoid it, or you can transfer the risk to someone else. Like you can in case of financial, very simple term, in case of any financial banking or some organization, they go for in case any availability issue comes, or in case there is a total collapse in their system operation, they go for insurance. Suppose a natural calamity comes and all their assets or all their operations or all their manufacturing facilities got into problems, they are unable to establish again. So they are transferring the risk to the insurance agencies. So insurance agencies again will fund for the calamities, whatever has happened. They fund the appropriate amount to establish the business again. So such kind of transferring the risk. When you do not have the capability for vulnerability assessment and penetration testing in your organization, you can just think about a third party who can come and do the vulnerability assessment in a planned interval, and you can try to hold responsibility on them, stating that if your VAPT is not carried out appropriately, then these are all the penalty you are supposed to do it. Like that, you can have a transferring of risk. So monitor the risk with regular reviews. So as I was telling, it is not only one-time calculation, it is every time. Whenever there is a change, major change happening to the assets or to the system or to the software or anything, if major change happens, then that time also before implementing, you need to do the risk assessment, and continuous process it is. That is what it means. And information security objectives. Yes, objectives should be measurable. It comes from information security policy. And once you say my policy is, we are committed to protect CIA of all the personnel or the system or everything, how are you going to protect it? So I will be doing the measurement. What all the measurements I will be doing the measurement to ensure the CIA. That is your objective. So security objective could be, say, resource protection, ability to secure all types of system resources. How will you protect it? Ability to secure all, maybe by implementing your malware protection system. Maybe if you talk about network, maybe I will be implementing intrusion prevention system, intrusion detection system. I may through appropriate firewall implementations. Once that is there, yes, I can be rest assured, or at least I will have some confidence that my things are at control. Okay, authentication, anybody is connecting to your network, only after authentication they will be connected. No unauthenticated persons will be able to come into your system or network. So such kind of objectives, security objectives, you can keep it. And make a plan that review this risk will be reviewed biannually or annually or quarterly. About that also you can have an objective. That is why I was telling, objective is, if you say I will do it biannually, whether have you exercised the risk assessment 2 times in a year, so that will be audited during the internal quality audit as well as during the external audit also. So selection of control should be should be made to bring down the risk to the acceptable. Why we are thinking about controls here? Because after identifying the risk, you are putting the control, and again you are doing the risk assessment. After putting the risk assessment, it is expected that your risk will be reaching within the level of risk acceptance criteria. Okay, then you are coming with a statement of applicability. Having selected relevant controls, objectives, controls for each risk, it is necessary to record the selection of statement of applicability And if you feel some of the controls are not applicable, I was telling about 114 controls. This 114 controls is from different domain. That is 14 domains are there. Each domain has got 2 or more than 2 controls. So every domain has got some control. Minimum, I think one domain has got 2 controls. Otherwise, it is more than 2 are there. More than 2 controls are there. So in each domain, what are all the control is most relevant for you for the existing risk to be mitigated. You have a risk, that risk needs to be mitigated. You identify the domain of the risk and identify the control for which, by which you can mitigate the risk, so that you bring out a statement of applicability. Example of statement of applicability, yes, control against malicious software. Yes, I want to control my systems against the malicious software. This is one of the control available in the ISMS 27001 annexure. So this control, whether it is applicable, yes, obviously it is applicable, because highlighted by high risk of damage to network. Once you allow malicious software to penetrate into your network, it will hamper your entire operation. So it is, I need this control to be in place. Then authentication for external connections. Yes, when people are connecting to your network externally, they needs to be authenticated first. So appropriate mechanism your network has to have to authenticate the connections from external. So these are all the controls. Then there is a control called Duress alarm to safeguard users. Whether you need, no, it is not required. Duress alarm is not required to safeguard the users. So like that, you can have a controls. I was telling about 114 controls, out of which for each risk, what is most relevant control you have to identify from the 27001 and put that control and put in effect. Then support, we have seen already. You have to have resources, you have to have a competency defined, and you have to, as an organization, they have to make awareness about established information management, information security management system, and it needs to be communicated to all. And in support processes, you have so many documents. I was telling about ISMS scope, ISMS objective, ISMS policy, ISMS then ISMS policy, then ISMS risk assessment, risk treatment. So these are all the some of the documents you need to create, and those documents needs to be controlled. So it should be just like that. Anybody cannot change the content of the document or the importance of the document. It needs to be highly controlled. Any changes has to happen, it has to come through a appropriate change control mechanism. Then operations, during the operations, it is not only during planning, during operations, this risk assessment, I was telling earlier, this risk assessment to see continuously that whatever controls are identified, they are relevant, still they are relevant. And if they are not relevant, you are identifying new controls to and calculating the risk to control or to mitigate the risk. Or if there is a changes in the system, yes, for that I need to do the impact analysis, I need to do the risk analysis, and I need to integrate the new system into the ISMS by doing the risk assessment and confirming that risk assessment is and risk value is coming within the acceptable criteria. So during operations you do it. So implement risk assessment plan, allocate resources, roles, responsibilities. This we have discussed already. Manage operations, manage resources, implement procedures. There shall be a risk assessment procedure and a risk assessment plan and a risk treatment plan, and they should know how to do the risk assessment. Okay. Then after implementing, after establishing, after putting into production, you need to continuously monitor those controls for its effectiveness. Very, very, very important. Are you able to hear me? I think, yeah, that's power. So you are doing monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. And in addition, you are supposed to do at regular interval the internal audit and management review. This already I have told you, just to to have a continuous improvement on your system. These activities are carried out. Internal audit is carried out, management review is carried out. Apart from that, there will be external audit, because certification is given by some agency. from those agency, you need to have, you want to continue the certificate, you need to go for certification, and they also come and see the ISMS implementation process. Whether it is continuously affecting or it is continuously operating without any problem. About that, they do the audit, and any gap area is found, they give the they address the they give the observation, and non-conformity, anything is there, they will ask you to close it. Once you close it, during the closing, you do the effectiveness, whether this particular observation I have closed it, whether it is having any problems, or is it going to affect the existing one? No, it is not existing, so that correction can be incorporated. So hence, you can assure the continuous improvement. Okay, this we have already discussed. This we have already discussed. So it is not only that you are carrying out IQA, that is internal audit, IE, internal audit and internal audit. It needs to be appropriately communicated to the relevant stakeholders. Very, very importantly, if you have come out with the findings during the internal audit or during the external audit, you are giving a time to fix those audit findings, if at all NCs are there. And if within the given time, if you are not fixing it, then you need to then escalate to the appropriate personality to take so to keep it informed that this issue is there, still we are not able to fix it because of so and so reason. You may need some extra resources, you may need some awareness, you may need some competency. If that is required, you can get it from only management, so management to be informed. That is what is the point. ISMS documentation, it has come, documented security policy, scope of ISMS, a risk assessment management report, documented procedure needed by the organization to ensure the planning, operation, control, and you have security policy, you have objective, you have activities, you have visible support from management commitment, good understanding of the security requirement, effective marketing of security by all. These are all the critical factors which will support you to establish a successful ISMS system. So to determine how much is too much, so that we can implement the appropriate security measures. It is like, when you are putting a control should not be costlier than the impact. So you need to appropriately select the controls which are cost effective. That is what is the point here. And I was mentioning about all 14 domains. These are all the 14 domains. So information security policy is one domain, organization of information security is another domain, or another area you need to you need to establish, or you need to, when you go for certification, these are all the domains you need to follow, and for each domain there are controls applicable, and these controls according to your risk, these controls needs to be identified. And I was telling about lower level, secondary level or lower level policies. These domains like A5, A6, A7, A8, A9, these domains have got lower level policies. The policy which we were mentioning, top level policy, it is for overall ISMS. Now this lower level domain also has got policy. They are known as lower level policies, and each domain you have to make a policy. How are you going to control the access? How are you going to implement the cryptography? How are you going to implement the physical and environmental security? How are you going to implement operation security? How are you going to implement communication security? How are you going to maintain the supply relationship during the entire supply process? How you are going to maintain it? About that, there shall be a policy system. Suppose you are a developing organization, these are all the controls you have to put in place. Whatever controls are coming under A14, system acquisition, development, maintenance, you have to put in place. Okay. So like compliance, there may be legal and statutory compliance requirements. You have to identify what are all the legal and statutory rules are applicable for running your business, operating your business, operating your service. So maybe GST, maybe income tax, maybe your personal law, maybe legal law, maybe related to sometimes working women sexual harassment, maybe corporate social responsibility, maybe labor law. So all those laws you have to identify under this legal compliance. Okay. And apart from everything, you have control A16 and A17. This control A16, I was talking about security operations center. See, in spite of implementing the systems and controls in place, you may come across with the incidences of availability issues, incidents of integrity issue, incidents of confidentiality issues. When that is there, you have a group called information security incident management. There is a process, established process, which will be continuously monitoring incidences happening in your organization. Any incidents happened can be notified by the any other stakeholder, not only users, any other stakeholders also can notify the incidences. So there shall be a formal process to manage the incidences. So reporting mechanism should be incident reporting mechanism, and the incident response from the ISMS certified organization and its resolution. About that you need to address, and there are controls available under A16. And in spite of incidents management, in spite of implementing all the controls, effective controls, maybe because of some natural disaster, natural calamity comes, how will you manage, how will you maintain your system, how will you make your system up in case of natural disasters? So for that only you have a control called A17. There you have to have an appropriate business continuity management plan. As per the plan, you have to have, in case some natural disaster, maybe some virus attack, maybe some flooding, maybe some fire, maybe some earthquake, maybe so many natural disaster. Out of this, if you are expecting that your business is going to hamper, you have to have a workaround. So people, they call it as a disaster recovery center. So if you are establishing a disaster recovery center, and whether that is operational in case of such a things happens, such incident happens, whether it can be operable. Yes, you have to do the annual BCP, business continuity plan testing. You have to identify number of uh, scenarios you can identify, and those scenarios needs to be tested in a regular interval, so that in case actual situation arises, you will be able to provide your business at least the minimum required business operations without much problem by ensuring the CAA. If you have a information security aspect, a business continuity management plan controls, if you are putting in place, you'll be able to ensure that. Okay. So security policy, we have already discussed so much. Best security policy is best security technology with a bad policy is like a grass set with a steel gate. Okay. So policy on security is the organization statement intent that provides foundation for management and staff who are all very well aware it. So these are all the controls we have seen. Organizing, information security, human resource security. You have some controls like it is one of the control prior to employment. The human resource security, when you are talking about what will be the mechanism to employ someone into your organization, will you do the background verification? If lateral entry, if you are taking, what kind of background verification you will do it? So about that there shall be a policy, and you have to have evidences. And during the employment, what are all the controls will be in place during the employment? How will you make him aware of the ISM system? How will you increase his competency level? About that, during the employment, what all you are supposed to do? Whether you are going to give a training, on the job training, or you are going to give a induction training, or you will be sending him somewhere else. About that you need to address, and that needs to be practiced. Asset management, yes, we were talking about asset. Yes, whatever assets are there in your organization, maybe it may be paper, it may be a hardware, it may be a software, it may be network components, it may be systems, it may be laptop. All those items, you have to have an appropriate inventory register, and the those assets are needs to be controlled in strict manner. So about that, this particular things comes. So you have to have a inventory of assets, ownership, one the assets lies with whom, who is the owner of the assets, and what are all the acceptable use of the assets. About that you have to define, and you have the way we are telling here is, when you say acceptable use of assets this much, whether within that only your users are limiting or they are violating it. If there is a violation, there shall be automatic alert. You should be able to identify those alerts. And return of assets, once very important return of assets, because the person is going to other organization, his contract is terminated or is superannuating. What is the mechanism for return of assets? About that has to be there. And media handling, when you have a media like your hard disk, your floppy drive, your tapes, all those things, how are you going to handle it? About that you have to, because you have to ensure that when you are disposing of these medias, it doesn't have critical information. How will you ensure that? So you have to have a disposal of media, a process, and that process needs to be followed perfectly. Okay, access control we have discussed. So access control, it is not only physical access control, even your software. When you have a software and the person is authorized to do only a portion of his according to the roles and responsibilities, whatever roles and responsibilities are given to him, and the resources should be accessible accordingly. The software resources should be accessible accordingly only. Like a person who is in operation, he cannot go and see the financial data. He cannot go and see the HR data, or he cannot go and see the database. So yeah, access control, access provisioning should be appropriately defined by the process owner, and according to the definition only, each user should be given the access provisioning. About that you should address in access control. And cryptography, yeah, whether it is required or not, your organization, you have to decide. If it is required, yes, you have to follow the cryptograph control policy, which is there in 27001. And you have physical and environmental. This is always there, like a physical security. What are the physical security you have put in place in the work area, in the data center, in the visitors room, in the material gate, material in gate, material out gate, in all places. How are you ensuring the security? About that, it is mentioned in physical and this one, operation security. Yes, operation security, it is during the operation, how are you going to control the malware? How are you taking the backup? How are you logging and monitoring your operations as well as incidences? So about that, it is there in the operation security. These are all the control. Protection from malware is a control, backup is a control, logging and monitoring is a control. So under the operation security. Okay. If you refer the standard, you will have all good idea. So this is change management. This I have already told. Any changes to the system to be appropriately followed by the change management established system. And you have a communication security. Yes, how are you going to control, or how are you going to secure your network? And yes, so you have to have a network diagram which is controlled, and as per the network diagram only your assets are deployed, and it is communication happening. Whatever control, security controls you have put in place, as per that only the communication is happening. You should ensure it. So during the development, what are all the development, acquisition and maintenance, what are all the important controls you have to implement? Maybe secure engineering principle, maybe what is when you want to acquire something, what are all the minimum security requirements you will be looking for? About that needs to be there. It should be defined, and you need to check it when you are acquiring the system. And when you are developing it, you need to think about secure engineering principle. You need to think about uh, design. You have to think about requirement specification. You have to think about implementation, that is coding, and you need to think about testing, functional testing, as well as about your security testing, as well as about acceptance testing. What is the formal policy you have when you are developing within your organization some system? When you are developing some software, you are developing it, this controls you have to follow it. And supply relationship, I have already told. So during the supply, what is the policy you have to ensure the protection of organization assets that is accessible by suppliers? Not only that, when he is giving you some services, how secure services he is giving to you, about that you have to address it. Management of security incidences, this I have told already. Security management, there shall be separate. Incident management, there shall be separate group which has to take care of the incidences happening around on your operating, on your system which is under operation. You have to have a procedure, you have to have a resolution, you have to have a response, all those things. Okay. And then business continuity management, this I have already told. What are all the scenarios which will hamper your system, natural disasters which will hamper your system, and how are you becoming ready to operate your business continuity plan. Based on the business continuity plan, you are exercising the test, business continuity plan testing, it is called. So you are annually or biannually, you are doing the testing, and you are ensuring, you are assuring that yes, my system is in place. Even in case of disaster happening, I will be able to provide the services to my client without any problem. Okay. And then apart from that, you have technical compliance. It is, we were talking about technical compliance, maybe statutory and legal laws applicable to you, you have to identify, and you have to comply, mandatory, you have to comply with those requirements. In addition, you have to do the technical compliance review, like, you know, vulnerability assessment. Apart from, even after, you know, implementing all the system, there shall be external party which has to come and satisfy that yes, experts come and satisfy that your system is under control. And VAPT, here basically the VAPT, vulnerability assessment by external agency, or you yourself can do it also. Vulnerability assessment has to be carried out, maybe planned interval again, maybe 6 months once, or it can be 1 year every year. And if any non-conformity is found, any issues are found, that needs to be addressed to take care of the system. Okay. Then, so this we have already seen, documented requirements, mission statement, internal external issues. Okay, legislation, regulatory. So scope of the document. So these are all the mandatory documents. This I have already told you also. Scope of the ISMS, information security policy, risk assessment, risk treatment, risk assessment report, and definition of roles and responsibilities, inventory of asset, acceptable use policy. So these are all the set of documents, mandatory documents you have to generate if you want to establish the ISMS system, as well as if you want to go for ISMS certification. Okay. Then these are all the mandatory, those are procedure documents. These are all mandatory records, evidences you have to produce, records of training skills, monitoring, measurement results, internal audit program, results of internal audits. Okay, these self-explanatory, these are all user activities. So you have internal, you have mandatory documents, you have mandatory records, and these are all some of the non-mandatory records to have, you know, effective system continuing. If you have a procedure for internal audit, if you have managing or controls for managing records, you have procedure for document control. These are all not mandatory as such by the standard, but if you have it, it will be well and good, so that you will be easy, you will be able to easily manage the ISMS operations. Okay, this is what ultimately. Thank you very much. Any questions is there? Now you can ask. So in a nutshell, when you talk about ISMS system, it is an information security management system. You are establishing a disciplined system by making use of 27001 requirements, and to meet the requirements, you are referring to 27002, 27003, 27004, such documents as a guidance for your risk assessment, as a guidance for other documents. Okay. Anything you want to ask, just you can ask me in a very fast manner, or otherwise you can post it also, all the questions. Any question is there, you can just post it to Mr. Naresh or Mr. Parvesh, so that I'll be able to answer. Okay. I think Mr. Parvesh. Mr. Parvesh, are you there? Mr. Tapas?
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
I'm here, sir.
I am there.
Please start. I'm just leaving it. Please start. Sorry, some 10 minutes got over.
Okay, sir.
Okay, please take care. Okay,
Yes.
bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vilamandi ji. So, Mr. Naresh,